I'm back. Well, what have we got this time? Yeah, it's a Fender Supersonic 22. I think this is a 22, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Supersonic 22. What the hell's Tony doing with the Supersonic 22? Well, you wait and see. Now listen, I was introduced to a Supersonic 22 by a mate who I speak to on the internet. He knows who he is. He introduced me to the Tone Shaper too, so he'll get to know that he had a input to this. Yeah, he was telling me how great the Supersonic was. Probably still is. He's probably still got it. He's over in the States somewhere. And I said, "Oh, it can't be that good." And he's, "Oh yeah, it's awesome." So I went and did a pile of research on the Supersonic model. Yeah. Anyway, it turns out that the Supersonic was a massive step up for Fender when they designed this. It's been around a fair few years. I think it was in the 90s or something. They invented the thing, and they said, "Ah, yeah, this is the first amplifier that's changed the way the Fender is." And the police are coming for me. Yeah, so you remember what Fender used to be like? Yeah, nice and clean and yeah, no guts. Yeah, it was like I describe it as thin. Yeah, which is not something I could say about the wife. I'm still laughing about that one. I laugh at my own jokes. It's just the way life is. But anyway, Supersonic. So he kept harping on about it. And I thought to myself, you know, he's telling me that it's got this great drive. It's got this fantastic sustain. It'll play forever. It'll play itself and all that stuff. And he's got them Fender cleans. And I thought, this guy's... he's got shares in Coca-Cola or something. I don't know. But he was right. It has got the Fender cleans. You know, them old things that we've all heard for years and years and years. And they never changed. And they've got that reverb, haven't they? This has got a reverb somewhere. There's the knob, which we'll come back to. Yeah, and it sounds cool. But then you turn it into these other modes. You got to hear it. It says normal and fat for this channel. These two channels. And for this one, it says vintage or burn. It does burn. It burns different than you might think. If you've never played one of these, you'll be thinking now, that guy has no clue. That's just one of them old Fender things again. No, it's not an old Fender thing. It's a new Fender thing. It's a bit like it's not quite a machete, but it's not far off. Press the button. And it changes from a Mr. Hyde, a Dr. Jekyll into a Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde's the bad one, just in case you didn't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we always do with an amplifier review. We're going to have a look at inside, you know, run through how it's made. You know, what are you getting for your money? Then we're going to come back outside and we're going to have a look at the knobs on the front and on the back. We're going to have a bit of an overview about it. And then it's highly likely I'll be playing this one. Yeah, some of these reviews I just don't, but you'll want to hear the Fender, particularly the Supersonic. And it's only a 22, remember, so 6V6 tubes. Yeah, they're a bit unusual for somebody like me. I'm usually 6L6 or EL34s. 6V6 give you that old Fender tone, and it sure does. But it gives you the new Fender tone as well that you would not, honestly, you wouldn't believe. So anyway, I'm going to whip the amplifier out now, and then we can get a bit of a close-up. So hold on a moment, I'll be back. So there it is, out the case. It looks very smart, doesn't it? Yeah, if a bit thin. Real metal. Let's zoom in. Okay, well, here we are. Big fat power transformer. Yeah, you knew it's a power transformer because on a 22 watt amp you don't normally have power output transformers this big. Moving along, it might be a choke, might not. There's another one over there. Just down there we're going to see. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tubes. All pretty much reasonable bits of kit. Right, now look of them. Let's take one out and have a look. GT tubes, which Fender seem to always use. They've probably got some deal going on somehow, I don't know. This one is a 12AX7, which they may all be. Really matter so much. What does matter are those ones there. GT tubes, and these are 6V6S tubes. Oh, more can you say? So you're going to get some Fender tones out of these. And lastly, output transformers over there. So there's not a lot to look at on the top, even if I do drop it down a bit. Very little. So I'm going to flip it over so we can have a look inside. So there you have it. That's what a Supersonic from Fender looks like inside. Supersonic 22, that is. You can see it comprises of two main boards plus the power supply area over here. Output tubes here, and you'll see the preamp tubes spread along here. So I like to see really, because they're all mounted to the chassis. None of these problems with tubes on the PCB that overheat the PCB. So it's been well designed from that point of view, I think. Also this separate power supply PCB I like to see too. So it's all been put together very nicely really. You've got these jumper cables that join the various sections. This is the sort of foot switch and effects loop in this area. You've got, it says here, external speaker, this area, internal speaker, that area it says. It would do. We've got a power and a standby, and we've got the main power coming in over there. So let's go a bit closer and just take a quick look at the overall quality of what you're actually getting from Fender. Because I've seen some of the Fenders, the machetes weren't quite as nice as what I thought they could be, but it was a Mexican one. I don't know where this one's made, but we'll take a look. There we are, a bit closer, and as I said, this is the effects loop and foot switch area, and I guess these chips control the foot switch thing. By the way, it is made in America, which it actually clearly says on the back, so it's not a Mexican job, as a machete was, or at least the one that I had was. Moving along a little bit, we can see those preamp tubes I was talking about, all sort of Fendery, and the output tubes. You can see the wires have been wrapped together to help sort the hum out, among other things. And the bottom PCB is also very, very high quality. Looks to me like flow solder machine, what I'd expect really. And power input that go that way, which is where we're going next, along to the power supply. Let's see if we can convert this or not. Well, I just had a quick look down there, and I don't think that this is convertible at all. This is looks like this is a PCB designed for the 230, 240 area of business, and nothing's going to be changed. No, you're not going to just take some wires off and put some more on. So if you buy an American one, you're probably staying with an American one. Best of luck. There's no spare wires anywhere, it's just what it is. Having said that, it's nice quality. The thing about when you're looking at a decent amp, it's this internal quality that makes all the difference, I think. You can see really that you're paying for something and you're getting something, as opposed to paying for something and then you don't, if you know what I mean. So let's go round the back and the front. When I've put this back in its case, it all looks nice inside anyway, and I'm happy to say that it's of the quality that you'd expect. PCBs, by the way, all talk about 2010, so I suspect that the The 22 watt was developed in about 2010, 2011. So it's not a new amp by any means. Well, this one is, but generally speaking, it's not a new amp by design. But having said that, it sounds awesome, really. So let's take a quick look across the back. There's nothing special particularly here, except that the product meets all the requirements that it should do. There's a couple of ins and outs, and that's about it. So what have we got? This says 230 volts, 120 watt. You can run this at 240, by the way. Don't let them tell you you can't. That's the way they are. We've got a 250 volt fuse here. Just plugs in and out. Moving along a bit, we've got Rush compliance, some other European thing, and plus this CE mark. And I'm quite sure that it's all been through all this. Fender's big enough to have done it, whereas some of these littler companies that I've seen in the past, maybe not. Power on and off, standby on and off, pretty obvious. Supersonic, where it proudly tells you that it's made in the USA, which I do believe that, actually. Moving along a bit, we've got serial number, we've got that. Internal and external speakers. We've got a foot switch, which I'll show you a bit later. And an effects send and return. Believe it or not, that's it. That's round the back. Okay, well here we are around the front. We've got the obvious input. There's only one, can't get that wrong. Plug her in. And we've got this fat or normal mode here, this button. When it's in, it's fat. When it's out, it's normal. Regular guitar volume. This is like a clean channel. Well, it's clean until you push that in, and then it's less clean. You can see the sort of settings where I had them. I didn't mess around, I just set them there and away you went, and then just controlled the rest by this. And just, you know, the fat or not I could control in other ways. Moving along a little bit more, you've got this vintage or burn. Mine's on, oh, burn. Fancy that. So, that changes this channel 2 into a Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. Remember, Mr. Hyde's a bad one. And other settings along here, they're all pretty obvious. You've got a couple of gains though. One gain on the next, if you follow me. It's a bit like a Berman amp of the end of the 70s, in fact. You've got a treble, middle, bass, and an overall master volume. So, nothing special there either. And lastly at the end is that reverb. There's nothing else beyond there except the light, and you can change that for whatever colour you fancy. Those settings, by the way, are where I had mine. And down here on the bench we've got the Supersonic floor pedal that's included, by the way. Vintage and burn, so we can flip that channel, and we've got normal or fat, we can flip that channel. We've got a reverb and we've got an effects, and that's it. So you can do most things from this, all nice and easy, and it's really cast iron and well made. You can throw that around, make no mistake of that. I also like this sort of piece of paper on the top, which is quite useful, because it does give you a load of ideas for settings just right when you first get the amp. You know what it's like, you tend to faff around a bit, don't you, getting the sort of tone you want, and here it is, tells you all about it. Versatility with organic feel. Oh, there's probably some mushrooms in there or something. Oh, before we do go, the other thing I did like was the 5-year warranty. It's so easy to avoid until you get a problem. I'm back, up top that is, here we are. So that is a bit of an insider's view of Fender Supersonic 22. I think it's pretty well made actually compared to some other things, and they're not that expensive either, relatively speaking, you know. Bear in mind this thing has come from all the way across in the USA and it's ended up here at about, I don't know, £600 or £700. It's not really that expensive. You might say, well, it's only a 22 watt. Nah, 22 watt on the panel, 50 watt everywhere else. It can get some volume out of it. If you put it on a 4x12, you wouldn't really want anything else. No. If you're at home, oh, yeah. But you can get the tones. Oh, I'll say that again. You can get the volume low with great tones, which is quite good, really. Especially with most guys. I mean, I don't play stadiums every day, you know. I bet you don't either. So, yeah, this is what the rest of us use. Now there is going to come some playing off this one, that way, and it does sound pretty cool. I like the clean mode, the old Fender mode, especially with that reverb, but I like the sort of fat mode, I'm at one, and the vintage and burn, yeah, that conjures up other things in my mind, but don't worry about that for now. Yeah, so it's all good, and you're going to hear it anytime now. Up there also is probably one of them little eye things that you can press to find out where my website is, www.TonyMckenzie.com, or my YouTube channel. Yeah, I won't bother tell you about that. You'll find it. Yeah, it'll be up there, and it might ask you a question or two about the amp. You know, what you think about it, and whether you'd buy one, or whether you think it sounds bad or good or indifferent, or you know, the sort of thing. I just thought I'd start doing that because they now give me the ability to ask people questions. You know, I'm always wanting to learn from these guys. So, bearing in mind I've already played this thing, how would I rate it? I'd rate it pretty good, actually. That fella over in, I think it's New York way, if I remember right. He did tell me that. You know who you are. And he said, oh, yeah, awesome. And he's pretty much right, really. I'd give this one about an 8. An 8? That's pretty cool. Everything about it's not bad. If I could criticise anything, and I mean anything, this front panel screws don't screw in too well. You screw them out once, when you screw them back they just round off. I thought that was a bit crap. Yeah, cheap panel on the front. But I didn't mind Mr. Fender. Cheap panel on front. Yeah, apart from that, it's all rock and roll. 8 out of 10. It's coming up now. See you next time. Hope you like the review.
Thank